General Hospital spoilers reveal that Drew's recent actions regarding the Quartermaine family mausoleum are truly pushing everyone to their breaking point in Port Charles. His plan to destroy the mausoleum, where many generations of the Quartermaine family are laid to rest, is not only a disrespectful act but also a deep betrayal of the very family that accepted him. Monica, who had welcomed Drew into the family with the same love she had for Jason, now has to witness her adopted son ready to offend the resting place of her late husband Alan. Her in-laws Edward and Lila, as well as her grandson AJ and adopted daughter Emily. But perhaps the most shocking aspect is that Drew seems to have completely forgotten that his own biological son, Oscar Nero, is also buried in that mausoleum. The boy, who passed away from brain cancer at a young age, now finds that Drew is willing to destroy his resting place just for revenge, leaving many residents of Port Charles in disbelief. Those who had stood by Drew during the darkest days when he lost Oscar now cannot understand how he could forget that pain so quickly, and even be willing to dishonor his son's final resting place. Olivia, who supported Drew immensely during his grief, has publicly expressed her horror. In an emotional confrontation at Metro Court, she asked Drew if he remembered the nights he cried in her arms over the loss of his son, and if he could truly destroy the place where Oscar rests. Drew, instead of showing remorse or emotion, responded with chilling coldness, saying, "It's just a building, and that Oscar won't care." But as Drew's obsession with causing trouble for Tracy continues, it is creating yet another shock. Drew not only wants to destroy the mausoleum, but he seems excited and delighted by the idea, viewing it as a way to get back at Tracy. His hatred for Tracy has developed into an unhealthy obsession, making him willing to disregard all moral and emotional boundaries. In a recent meeting with his development team, Drew was recorded laughing loudly as he described how Tracy would react when she saw the mausoleum destroyed. "I'd pay any price to see her face when those walls collapse," Drew said, with a smile many described as scary and nothing like Drew. The meeting was secretly recorded, and the tape was sent to the invader, sparking public outrage. Those who once viewed Drew as a good, moral, and kind man could no longer recognize him. Even Ned, who frequently disagrees with Tracy on various issues, has stood up against Drew. In a strong statement at the ELQ shareholders meeting, Ned said, "Anyone willing to dishonor the resting place of their own son for a personal vendetta doesn't deserve the Quartermaine name, by blood or by law." A key new trait in Drew's character is his complete lack of emotion when it comes to discussing Oscar. Previously, Drew would be emotional and sorrowful when talking about his son. But now he seems to have no feelings at all as he plans to destroy his son's resting place. This has led many to question if Drew is undergoing some serious psychological change, or if he might be under the influence of an outside force. Elizabeth, who had a close relationship with Drew in the past and is an experienced nurse, has expressed concerns about the changes in his behavior. She approached Monica to discuss the possibility that Drew might be going through a mental disorder or even brain damage. Monica, although heartbroken by Drew's actions, agreed that something was very wrong and began searching his medical records to see if there were any signs of an underlying health issue. Some have even questioned whether Drew might be under the influence of a drug or mind control device, especially considering his past history of being controlled by Victor Cassadine. Spinelli has started a secret investigation, looking for any signs that Drew might be being manipulated by an external force. One of the new shocks about the Quartermaine family deaths is that Drew seems to not only have forgotten the significance of the mausoleum but also intentionally insults the memory of those who are buried there. In a particularly shocking moment, Drew joked about freeing Edward and Lila from their stone prison, a comment that sent shivers down even his closest allies. In a local television interview to promote his campaign, Drew said, "Maybe Edward will thank me for tearing that place down. He never liked being trapped." When the interviewer reminded him that it was the family's final resting place, Drew responded with a cold smile, "Stone is just stone. Their souls have long left. I'm sure Lila would prefer a flower garden to a gloomy mausoleum." This action not only deeply hurt Monica but also made the entire Port Charles community question Drew's mental state. Michael, who once trusted Drew as a reliable uncle, publicly withdrew his support for Drew's campaign, saying that he could not support someone willing to disrespect his family's memory for personal gain. As news of Drew's plan spread, many began standing against him, including people who were once friends and allies. Even Trina, who had been Oscar's best friend, expressed her horror upon hearing about Drew's plan. She publicly sided with Tracy in the fight to protect the mausoleum, reminding everyone that it wasn't just a building, but the resting place of her dear friend Oscar. In an emotional post on social media, Trina shared a picture of her and Oscar at their high school graduation, captioning it, "Oscar, I promise I won't let anyone destroy your resting place, even if that person is your father." The post quickly went viral, garnering support from many residents of Port Charles and putting even more pressure on Drew. Jocelyn, who had once deeply loved Oscar, also expressed her outrage. In an emotional confrontation with Drew at Kelly's, she asked him how he could forget the love Oscar had for the Quartermaine family and how he could consider destroying the place where his son had chosen to rest. Drew, once again, responded with chilling coldness, telling Jocelyn she should move on and keep living as he had. As Drew continues down this destructive path, many are left wondering, what happened to the man they once knew? And is there any way to bring Drew back before he destroys not only the Quartermaine mausoleum but also his own legacy and reputation? Some, including Sam, still believe that Drew is truly struggling and needs help rather than condemnation. She has started secretly working with Spinelli and Damien to investigate whether something or someone is influencing Drew. They have begun monitoring his calls and messages, looking for any signs that he may be under manipulation. Meanwhile, Tracy has intensified her efforts to protect the family mausoleum. She has hired a powerful legal team to fight Drew's development plan and started a public relations campaign to highlight the historical and cultural importance of the mausoleum. She has also reached out to other Quartermaine family members, urging them to unite against Drew. As the battle between Drew and Tracy continues to escalate, one thing is certain. Port Charles is witnessing one of the most intense Quartermaine family conflicts in history. And with each passing day, Drew seems further from the man he once was, leaving many to wonder if he can be saved or if he has forever turned into a distorted version of himself. As Monica looks at the son she once loved deeply, she can't help but ask, is this truly Drew? Or is there something darker and more sinister going on? And if this isn't the Drew she knew, then where is the man she loved? These questions continue to haunt her as she faces the hardest decision of her life, whether to give up on her son or continue fighting to bring him back. Even if it means confronting him to protect the Quartermaine family legacy and the resting places of their loved ones. Monica has decided to strip Drew of his privileges. A painful but necessary decision she had to make after many sleepless nights of deliberation. As head of the Quartermaine family, Monica realizes that she has no choice but to protect the family's legacy and assets from Drew's increasingly erratic and dangerous behavior. She called an emergency family meeting, with all the surviving members of the Quartermaine family present, including Michael, Ned, and even Tracy. In the tense and heavy atmosphere of the Quartermaine estate's living room, Monica announced her decision. With a trembling but firm voice, she declared that Drew would be removed from the family will, lose access to the Quartermaine Trust Fund, and be stripped of all rights to the ELQ shares. Furthermore, she demanded that Drew leave the Quartermaine estate and be banned from entering any of the family's properties until he finds his true self. One of the new developments will lead to Drew's actions causing Monica's death. When Drew received news of Monica's decision, he reacted with a rage that no one had ever seen from him before. In a frenzy, he broke into the Quartermaine estate in the middle of the night, determined to confront Monica. The confrontation quickly escalated into a fierce argument, with Drew spewing venomous words and threats that he never imagined saying to the woman who had adopted him. In his anger, Drew accidentally shoved Monica, causing her to fall down the stairs. The horrific fall left Monica with a severe head injury, and she fell into a coma. When Drew realized the consequences of his actions, he panicked and fled, leaving Monica unconscious at the foot of the stairs. One of the new shocks is how the news of Monica's condition spreads throughout Port Charles. The medical community at General Hospital quickly mobilized all their resources to save Monica, but her condition remains critical. Doctors informed the family that even if Monica wakes up, she may face permanent brain damage. The news that Drew was involved in Monica's accident quickly spread, shocking and angering the entire town. Jason, who is still recovering from recent events, immediately returned to Port Charles to be by Monica's side and search for Drew. The hunt for Drew began, with Jason leading the charge, determined to uncover the truth about what happened and hold Drew accountable. This is leading to the explosive new storyline surrounding Drew in the show. Drew, now on the run and with the entire town turning against him, is starting to realize the severity of his actions. In his rare moments of clarity, he begins questioning what has happened to him in the last few months and how he has become a person he no longer recognizes. Meanwhile, Sam and Spinelli have found evidence suggesting Drew may have been poisoned or mind-controlled. They found traces of a powerful neurotoxin in Drew's old blood samples, a drug that could cause significant changes in personality and behavior. This has opened a new investigation into who might be behind manipulating Drew and for what purpose. As Drew continues to flee, he begins having flashes of memories about recent events, secret meetings, strange conversations, and the feeling of being watched constantly. He begins to suspect that there may be a larger conspiracy at play, one that he has inadvertently become a part of. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Monica's condition continues to worsen, forcing the Quartermaine family to face the possibility of losing their last pillar. Ned and Michael have temporarily set aside their differences to jointly manage ELQ and protect the family's legacy during this crisis. As the story continues to unfold, viewers can't help but wonder. Can Drew be saved? Who is behind these terrifying changes in his personality? And will Monica survive this crisis and once again unite the Quartermaine family? One thing is certain. These events will have lasting consequences for Port Charles, and especially for the Quartermaine family, forever changing the dynamics between the main characters in the show. Drew will no longer be a Quartermaine, a painful yet inevitable decision after the series of devastating actions he has caused to the family that accepted him. In a solemn ceremony in the living room of the Quartermaine estate, where the portraits of past Quartermaine generations seem to look down with sad eyes, Ned officially announced that Drew Kane would be removed from all family documents, the will, and the trust fund. Drew's picture was taken down from the wall, his name erased from the Quartermaine family tree, and all traces of his presence in the family were wiped away, a symbolic act representing the complete severance of the bond with the man they once considered part of their family. One of the new stories involving Drew's actions has caused the community of Port Charles to react with shock and disgust. Those who once admired and respected him now turn away, looking at him with contempt and fear. Business partners have cancelled contracts, friends have stopped contacting him, and even those who once supported his campaign have publicly withdrawn their support. Drew, who was once considered one of the most respected men in Port Charles, is now a pariah, a name that people whisper with disgust. However, it is truly Tracy and Jason who cannot accept Drew's actions. Tracy, who is known for her tough and pragmatic personality, broke down in tears upon hearing about Monica's condition. Despite their past disagreements, the bond between these two women was much deeper than they often showed. Standing beside Monica's hospital bed, Tracy swore that she would not rest until Drew paid for what he had done. Jason, known for his emotional control, reacted in a different but equally intense manner. As he looked at his adopted mother lying motionless in the hospital bed, surrounded by medical machines and wires, a cold anger began to form inside him. Jason had always seen Drew as a brother, a special connection they shared due to their similar faces and part of their memories. But now, seeing the consequences of Drew's actions, Jason made a decision. Drew was no longer his brother, and he would treat Drew like any other enemy who had harmed his family. One of the new adjustments in Drew's criminal actions is truly making waves as investigators begin to uncover the full extent of his criminal behavior. Not only has Drew pushed Monica down the stairs, but he has also been found to have committed a series of illegal and unethical actions in recent months. Spinelli, While investigating Drew's behavioral changes, discovered evidence showing Drew embezzled millions of dollars from charitable funds he managed, using the money to finance his campaign and other personal projects. He also found that Drew used dubious methods to gain control over several local businesses, including threatening and blackmailing their owners. But perhaps the most shocking discovery was evidence suggesting Drew might have been involved in the death of a local real estate developer who opposed the plan to destroy the Quartermaine mausoleum. This developer was found dead in what appeared to be a car accident, allegedly caused by a brake failure, but Spinelli discovered evidence indicating that the car might have been tampered with. As these crimes were exposed, the Port Charles community fell into a state of shock and horror. How could Drew Cain, the man once known for his kindness, integrity, and compassion, turn into such a ruthless criminal? This question became the central topic of every conversation at Kelly's, Metro Court, and even at General Hospital. Some people, including Sam and Elizabeth, still believe that there must be a reasonable explanation for Drew's drastic changes in personality. They continue to search for evidence that he may have been poisoned, brainwashed, or controlled in some way. Others, including Carly and Michael, have begun to accept the painful possibility that perhaps Drew has always had a dark side, one he kept hidden until there was an opportunity to reveal it. As the hunt for Drew continues, one question remains: if Drew has truly changed completely, can he be redeemed? Or is it too late for the man who was once considered one of Port Charles's most prominent heroes? And if Drew is being controlled or manipulated, who is behind all this? And what is their true purpose? As Monica continues her battle for life in the hospital, and the Quartermaine family tries to hold together during this crisis, one thing is certain: Drew Cain, whether as a villain or a victim, has forever altered the landscape of Port Charles, and the consequences of his actions will continue to be felt for years to come. Drew will regret his actions. A painful realization that is slowly sinking into his mind as the impact of his destructive behaviors becomes clear. In a rare moment of clarity, while hiding in a cheap hotel room on the outskirts of Port Charles, Drew looked into the mirror and didn't recognize the man looking back at him. Bloodshot eyes, unshaven, and a wild expression. This was not Drew Cain as he knew him, not the loving father of Oscar, not the man Monica had accepted as her son. Memories of his actions over the past months began flooding back like a tide: the way he had treated Monica, the plan to destroy the mausoleum where his son rests, and the horrific moment when he pushed Monica down the stairs. Each memory brought a sharp pang of pain, a deep sense of guilt and regret that Drew had to kneel, tears streaming uncontrollably down his face. One of the new developments making things even more chaotic is when Drew starts realizing that something is wrong with his mind. Gaps in his memory, moments where he feels as if he's observing himself from outside his body, and severe headaches accompanied by ringing in his ears, all signs that he doesn't have full control over his actions. In a desperate attempt to understand what is happening to him, Drew started writing down his thoughts and memories in a journal. As he read through what he had written, he discovered disturbing patterns, times when he couldn't remember, strange meetings with people he didn't recognize, and an overwhelming sense that he was being watched. One particular journal entry caught his attention: a rough sketch of a device resembling a chip, with the note, "In my head," written beside it. Could it be that he had been implanted with some kind of device in his brain? Could this be the reason for the frightening changes in his behavior? With renewed determination, Drew began seeking help. He couldn't go to General Hospital, where he would surely be arrested immediately, so he contacted the only person he thought could help him without judgment: Elizabeth. As an experienced nurse and someone who had a past relationship with Drew, she could be his best chance to understand what was happening to him. This marks the beginning of Drew's departure from GH, with producers confirming that Cameron Matheson, the actor who portrays Drew, will be leaving the series in the near future. This news has sparked a wave of speculation among fans about how Drew's character will be written out of the show. Some sources suggest Drew will die in a tragic ending, possibly at the hands of Jason or another member of the Quartermaine family seeking justice for Monica. Others speculate that Drew may be arrested and sentenced to prison, leaving the door open for a future return. Some even believe Drew could be revealed as the victim of a complex conspiracy, leading him to leave Port Charles to seek treatment or to protect his loved ones. Regardless of the scenario chosen, Drew's departure will leave a significant void in the fabric of Port Charles. As a member of both the Quartermaine and Morgan families, Drew has been a central character connecting many different families and storylines. His departure will not only impact those closest to him like Sam, Scout, and Monica, if she wakes up, but it will also have a broader impact on the power structure of Port Charles, especially in business and politics. As Drew continues his journey to seek redemption and understanding, he doesn't know that his time in Port Charles is slowly coming to an end. Will he have a chance to repair at least some of the damage he has caused before he leaves? Will he get a chance to say goodbye to those he loves? And most importantly, will he uncover the truth about what has happened to him before it's too late? As Drew's story reaches its climax, one thing is certain. The consequences of his actions will continue to affect Port Charles long after he has gone. And whether he leaves as a villain, a victim, or something more complicated, Drew Cain has left an indelible mark on the history of General Hospital, a mark defined not only by the years of service and kindness but also by his tragic and terrifying downfall.